What's up, guys? Welcome back to my live stream. Let me just get ready and we'll start right now. Just give me 1 second. I needed to get this window up and running and we will begin. Let's double check that everything is working fine. And all right, hey guys, welcome back to my live stream. And as the title of this live stream mentions, we are going to be fixing some GitHub issues for my game engine, a game engine that I have been working on for the past 8 years. And if you are a new viewer, I'm Jero Serrano, and I basically develop game engines, and I tend to go on YouTube and upload videos and do live streams on game engine development with the hope that all of this content will help you as you develop your own game engine. If you want to develop your own game engine, if you want to know how to do so, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, to my YouTube channel, and also, take a look at my website, jeroserrano.com. I have tons of articles that I have written about game engine development. Feel free to go there and learn as much as you can about game engine development. I am not an expert in this field, but I do know a thing or two about game engine development. I have been doing this for 8 years now, so I have been there and can somehow guide you on how to develop your own game engine. So before we start, if you have any questions related to game engine development, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I will gladly answer them. One condition though is that before you can actually post any questions in the chat, you have to be subscribers for at least 5 minutes. So those are the conditions. All right, guys. So before I actually go to my next to our content, I also would like to invite you to join the Discord server for indie game engine developers, which I manage. Actually, let me bring it up because we are about to hit 500 members. So we are I believe one member, well, one member from becoming 500. So let me bring this up and let me check. Let me get the count. There you go. The count is, as of right now, guys, we have 499 members. So if you want to join our Discord server and be the lucky 500th member, please do so right now. But only join if you really want to develop a game engine, right? Don't just join just because just joining. Join because you want to share what you know and because you want to also learn about game engine development. We have, as you can see, 499 members. Each of them develop their own game engines. We tend to ask a lot of questions in our discussion channel, and we also like to give an update on our. We like to share the updates of our own game engines, and you can see a lot of people just sharing everything, the latest changes that I have done to their game engines. It's a really laid back community. All of you guys are welcome. If you're a novice developer, if you're an experienced developer, you guys are welcome to join. Again, we are very laid back. We like to help each other, and we keep it all technical. That's how I like it, right? Just technical, and let's just help each other. So, you are more than welcome to join our Discord server. Please you can be the lucky 500th member. So, hey, do so. The link to the Discord server is in the description of this video. All right, guys. So, having said that, and I hope, I was showing the one. Cool. Okay, so having said that, let me close this for a second. Let's get to the video, all right, to the live stream. So what we're going to be doing today is basically we're going to be improving the game engine by enhancing the ImGUI editor that I have implemented recently. If you have been following the live stream for the past 2 weeks, you would know that I added several features such as a serializer, a deserializer to the engine. You can now basically save the models in your scene, and you can also load them back whenever you want to keep working on your game engine. But there's a lot more to do when it comes to the editor. So what I want to work on today is basically add this new feature that will allow the user, the game developer, to change the name of the model that is being loaded. And let me show you what I mean, and then I'm going to I'm going to explain why I want to do so. It basically revolves around the idea of saving memory. All right, so let me launch the game engine so you can see how everything is going. Here's basically my Git branch here. All right, so here's the engine, and I'm going to run it. All right. Let me just hide this for a second. All right, so now, whenever you go to the asset pane here, right? Let's say you want to select a player, a model, right? You can select a player model. And now here you get the option to name actually that particular player, right? So I'm gonna name it my player. And then you need to select the class type, right? Because the factory design pattern that I have implemented in the engine will basically get that class type and create an instance of that object, all right? Instance of that type. So I'm gonna make it of type player. So when I do a load asset, the player will show up, and you are gonna see by going to the scene graph that that name that you gave to the players is showing up here, right? So you can even rotate this if you want, right? Let's say that you want to add another player, but now I'm gonna call it my player one, load asset. Now for that one, I can actually, I hope this works. There you go, boom. You can actually have another player. You can have, a field here. So let's call the field 0. And there's a reason why I want to add this functionality into the game engine, right? So right now, this is what we have, right? We are able to add the name, to basically create an instance of a model, assign a name to that particular model. You can save this and it will save. However, there's a problem when you load everything back. And that's what basically we're going to be working on. We are going to fix the whole loading of the whole deserialization of the binary format into the objects. We are going to fix that because what's happening is that there's a confusion between the asset name that is shown here and the names that are being shown in the scene graph. It should be a very simple thing to fix, but still we need to fix it. Now, why am I doing this? Well, the reason why I'm doing this is to save memory. As of right now, how the engine works is the following, right? I use Blender as my modeling software tool where you as a game developer would create the models, right? But more importantly, this is I also have a script that interacts with the engine. The script basically what it does is that it goes through all of the models in the scene, in the Blender scene, right? All of these models here, and will store all of that data into a particular file, right? That file is then loaded and read by the engine and is shown under the asset pane that I showed you not long ago. Actually, let me bring it up so you can actually have an idea, right? And let me hide this just for a second. All right, so here the models were shown up here. So basically all of the models that are shown here, that are shown in this pane right here in Blender, are the ones that will show up in here as well, right? Now, here's the problem, right? That when I create a script, I go and get the data for all of these models, and then they will show up in the game engine. That is not a very efficient way of consuming memory, because all what I should be doing is that I should be allowing the game engine to also act, or allowing the editor to act as the scene manager, in the sense that all what we really need to include or to pour into the engine would be only 2 characters, right? These 2 characters right here, right? By doing that, I'm consuming a lot of memory, right? Instead of exporting these 2 field goals here that you see, and I'm going to delete this one because I don't know why that is there. Instead of exporting these 2 field goals right here, I should only export 1, right? Instead of exporting these 2 bleachers right here, I should only export 1, right? So that way, when the data gets exported over here under my asset, right? If I want to have multiple players, like say I want to player 1 under player, I can just load it up, right? If I want another player, boom, load the asset. And if I come over here, I can easily just rotate this and assign that player, right? If I want a third player, I should be able to do that. And boom, boom, right? So basically, that data, the script that is being sent from Blender into the engine will be a lot smaller in terms of memory, and you would allow the game engine here basically set up the whole scene, right? And then when we save it, all of the data will be saved into binary format, which basically even the whole memory that it's going to consume is going to be a lot less, stuff like that, right? Now, well, basically that's the whole idea, right? That's why I want to do this. Now, again, the problem is that I can save this will be saved. The problem is with the loading, right? So actually, let me show you. I can save this. Let me save this into my download folder, scene file. You can see that the scene data was saved. However, if I want to load this up back again, there's going to be a problem. And that's the problem that I'm talking about. Yep, there is a kinetic dictionary problem. There's a lot of problems going on here that we need to fix. All right. So having said that, why don't we start out with the whole problem with... Actually, let me run this again so you can actually see, because this was another... Right now, I realize that there's another problem with my approach, but let me do it this way. Actually, what I'm realizing is that this is going to take a lot longer than I imagined. But for example, let's say I go field here and field 1, load asset, boom, then player, let me call this one player 1, load asset. All right. Well, what happened? Where did they go? Where are you at? Okay, let me remove this one, because what happened was that remove entity. All right, so that is that, a player. Boom, there you go. All right, so if I save this, everything will be fine, will be good. Right, scene data was saved as is shown here. But then if I want to reset this and if I want to load back that data, it's gonna fail, right? It's gonna say, look, model field 1 does not exist, the player 1 does not exist, and the reason is because there's not a conflict but a confusion between the names of the assets and the names that I'm giving to the players. All right, so that's what we're going to be working on, guys. Again, if you are new to game engine development, guys, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I'll gladly answer them. I can guide you. And again, if you want to check out my website, which I'm bringing up right now, you can go to my website where I have written tons of articles related to game engine development, both technical and non-technical aspect of game engine development. If you go to learn and you go to articles, you're going to see the articles that I mentioned, talking about, right? But more importantly, if you want to know the books that you should read to develop your own game engine and the books that helped me, if you click on the link books here in the navigation bar, you are going to get a list of the books that will help you get started so that you can develop your mathematics engine, your rendering engine, and your physics engine. And now if you want a more comprehensive list of all the books that helped me develop my game engine, then if you scroll down, you're going to see all of the books that will help you. So just for your reference. And also, if you are liking this live stream, please do not forget to click that like button. That will really help the channel, and it will recommend the live stream to other people. And if you cannot keep watching it right now for whatever reason, just so you know, if you go to my channel, you can find a playlist of my live streams. The live streams are usually, I'm posting them as unlisted, but they will be there for your reference. And also, if you go to my website, you can find them there. All right, guys, so let's get to work. Let's see how we're going to fix this. All right. The problem is that there is a confusion between the names of the asset and the name that is given to the model. All right. So what I'm going to do, what I think I should do is that I should create a new variable, a string of type of string that will store that data. All right. For my model. All right, so why don't we do that? Why don't we do that here? Let's create a private variable of type string that will contain that reference name to the Blender model. All right, so let's do that. So let me just write out a brief description of the problem of what I'm doing here. Reference name to Blender asset. All right, something like that would do. Usually I would change them, if I don't find a variable to be, very a good name for what I want to do, I tend to change them later. But again, if you're a developer, you would know that one of the problems that we have as developer is coming up with good names for our variables and our classes and our methods. It is an art, all right? It will take some time for you to get good at it. The thing is that there's no schooling for that, right? There's no books that you can read that will help you decide how to do it. So you need to find your own style. All right, so let me call this asset reference name. And what I do like to do is I do like to use that ChemaPack convention when using my names. All right, so asset reference name. All right, that should be that one. That should be it. Now let me get some setters and getters here because I do want it to be private and I do not want any other class to modify that. All right, so let me do void set asset reference name std string asset reference name, and also let me do this std string get asset reference name. All right, so basically this will, in this method, if you are completely new to programming, basically a setter and getters are methods that will allow you to set the value of a particular data member. And a getter is the method that allows you to retrieve that value. Now I do know that many programming books tells you that this is the right way to do coding. For everything you need to have a setter and getter. However, I do disagree with that because there will be moments that you will have to break that rule, especially when you are developing your own mathematics engine. You do not want to use setters and getters when you're doing that because it's going to just create a lot of clutter in your whole class, and you don't want to do that. Not for the mathematics engine. For something else, yeah, you should follow that rule. But again, rules are meant to be broken only if you know why they exist in the first place. Else don't break it. All right, so boom. Now let me just All right, so let me just copy this. All right, so here I'm going to do asset reference name. You will come on. And just so you know, OBS tends to slow down my computer, and it for some reason OBS and Xcode doesn't like to work well together. And every time I do a live stream, there are moments that my computer slows down tremendously. That's actually one of the reasons why I don't go live often, because there are times that when I have OBS open, my computer just stops working basically, and I get kind of upset. All right, so that's the reference name. Now let me should I name it? Okay, I don't think I should have anything as default. All right, so once we have that, what do we need to do? All right. What I want to do is, okay, so I'm setting up the visibility here. All right, so let me work with this part first, create a model instance. All right, so I'm setting up the model name here. That's exactly what I'm doing. What I'm going to do now here is I'm going to also set the reference name, right? So it's going to be model set asset reference name, and that's going to be you asset name. All right, and I need to do the same thing here. Set asset reference name and you asset name. All right, cool. So now we have the asset name for we have the name that we have given to the model, and then we also have the reference name, right? And we need to use the reference name so that my loader knows which model in Blender to extract that data from, right? Because it needs to have that reference so that it knows, like, hey, I need to get the textures, I need to get the geometry data, the normal vector data, etc., from this Blender model, right? So it's like an ID if you want to think of it that way. All right, guys, let's see. Now, what do I do next? Okay, so we have this create model instance, but we also need to implement the same changes over here. That is different. So when I hold on to that one, yeah, I'm gonna hold up to this one. No, I do need to come back to that one. So this is the unload entities. So this is the serializer class. The serializer will basically get the data from the models, the properties, for example, the vertices, normal vectors, texture data, right? And we'll convert that into a binary data, which would then be stored in a file. That's the process. Is called serialization, going from object data to byte stream, right? And then to loading into a file is serialization. Doing the reverse is deserialization. Basically, it's reading the data from a file, converting it from binary to your actual data that you want. Now, you may be asking, why did I decided to do my conversion from property data or object data into binary? The main reason is that if you use any other format such as XML or JSON, they tend to take a long time during the parsing process. And if you are playing a game, you don't want that to happen. You don't want your game to take way too long after it is reading data. So the fastest way that you can, the best way that you can speed up the whole loading process is if you use a binary format. So that's why I'm using it. I actually do have I uploaded a video a year ago, I guess, that explained the whole process. So cool. Okay, so let's see what we need to do. Okay, so we have to read the names of the models, right? Now what we need to do here, what is it? Hold on, this is convert binary to entities. All right. This is a deserialization. All right, so during my serialization where I convert my entities to binary, I show here that I write the name of the model right into the file. What we need to do here is now also write the asset reference name of the model. Right, we want to store that data so when we load up that data, we know what to refer it to. So to do that is basically just this block of code which I'm going to copy, but I'm going to do some changes. Model asset reference name, and that's correct. So what I need to do, let me just do this for now. Asset reference name size. This will be this. This will be this as well. And this will be asset reference name size. Alright, so what I need to do here, guys, is I need to go into my constant common protocols and change this. I need to add this new variable, std string asset reference name. That's what I need to add to there. All right, so that should be set. Cool. So that should be it over here, and then that should fix it here. Yes, let me make sure that everything's working good here. All right, so we have that now. Okay, cool. Now what we need to do is we need to read back the reference asset name. All right, so if we go into our deserializer, that's what we're going to do, right? We are going to read so here is read the asset reference name, all right, of our model, right? So we're gonna do the same thing here. We're just gonna copy this block of code and we're gonna write it here. So it's gonna be model asset reference name. I know it's a long name, but I again, like to keep my variables very descriptive. They do, doing that will pay off in the long run, believe me, guys. Boom. And all right. Okay, yeah. So here, what I need to do is asset reference name, and here asset reference name. Cool. So we have that working now. So now we have that data. Now what we need to do, so that is that there, it is there. Now if we come over here, we need to add a new member here, asset reference name. Boom. Okay, so now that way we have, we have to change my factory class, which is gonna be this one right here. This one needs to have now a new variable, which oh. Okay, let me make sure that everything is actually working properly. You asset name, you model name. Let me see where I'm actually preparing my data, because I don't think I'm preparing my data correctly just yet. Yep, here it is. I'm not preparing my data. All right, so entity serialized data, that asset reference name is gonna be model get asset reference name. Okay, cool. Okay, that is that. Boom. All right. All right, so we got that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move this one actually over here because I think that's the best place to have it. So if I go to my factory, I have a US name, use model name, which is what I want. And hopefully I don't get messed up. It doesn't get messed up when I do this. U model name, US name. Okay, cool. Let me put it here. All right, U asset, U model name. Boom. We have a U asset name, which is what we want to load everything up. We have U model name. All right, so let's see. New model name, and hopefully we don't mess this up, guys, because I'm afraid we are about to do so. You asset, your model. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's go with it. All right, we come here, create the action. We have the asset. Now here, what we're gonna do is model set name, and that should be you model name for that. Let me copy this one here over here too. And because I'm doing that, I need to do something else. I need to invoke my dictionary to do some changes to update my asset name to my model name as well. Yep. Or else there will be a problem with my FOSTROM. All right, so let me do it here, and let me do it here. And what I need to do is I need to invoke my visualizer dictionary. Visibility. This dictionary basically works with the visibility manager that determines if the particular model is within the scope of the camera FOSTROM, right? Because there's no point for you to render an object that is not in the view of the camera. Doing so is just consuming, wasting performance, right? That you should not be doing. So you only basically want to render objects that are visible by the camera. Okay, so that will update everything. All right, so this in theory should work. In theory, it should work. All right. Something that we need to do is also, as I'm loading this up, I need to recall this. Okay, cool. Let's see if that works. Later on, um, I tend to go and fix the code because it may look a little bit sloppy. I don't want to do it here because I want to share with you, the whole idea, the whole logic first. Once I have that down and I know that it works, I go in and then I just fix things up. Um, so that way I don't waste your time me trying to think how I can make this better. All right, so I know for a fact that now that I'm gonna build this, it's gonna take a long time. I lied. I think it's gonna be quite fast. Because usually when I modify the um, constant.h file or the Commons Protocol file, the game engine Xcode starts to compile all of the files in the game engine instead of only that one. Don't ask me why, but right now you can see that it's about to do so. So in the meantime, guys, what I want to do is, again, if you have any questions related to game engine development, feel free to ask me. You may be wondering, how long is it going to take me to develop a game engine? Well, per my experience, it took me 3 years to develop the basic framework of the game engine, and by that I mean getting the rendering system up and running, the mathematics engine up and running, and the physics and collision detection system all working together in sync. Just that took me 3 years to work. Again, I developed everything from scratch. So if you happen to use the library, which there are plenty out there, it's going to take you a lot. You will be able to have your basic framework in a shorter amount of time. But it took me that long. Now to have everything, to have the game engine stable and have a camera system and particle system and you name it, it took me 5 years. So it took me an additional 2 more years of work to get everything up and running. Now it has been 8 years now since I have been working on my game engine, and every day I work on it. I'm improving it, and there's still a lot more to do. So if you ask me how long it's going to take you, well, it depends up to you. Right? It depends what kind of game engine you want to work on, what you want to do, and what are your goals. For me, this is more of a hobby, so I don't. I think I'm gonna be working on my game engine until I die, I guess, because it's a hobby that I really enjoy doing. But if you have different goals, right? If you want to develop a particular game and create a game engine specifically for that game, then it will not take you 8 years. It's gonna take you a lot, a shorter time than that. So yeah, so the other questions that people tend to ask me, is, well, what kind of books should I buy to start developing a game engine? Now, the best books that that I can share with you what to use are the books that I mentioned. And let me see if I can bring. Let me double check if this is actually running. Are basically the books that I share in my on my website. If you go to my website, the books that I recommend are definitely the books that I show here under the link. But now, guess what? It's not showing. There you go. Now it's there. Now you can see it. Right. If I were you, I would get this 5-6 books. I would start out with the mathematics engine first. This book, the 3D Math Primer. It's really good. It's a really good book. It's gonna teach you everything related to linear algebra, vectors, matrices, transformations, which is basically what you need to develop a game engine. Then what I would get the graphics and shaders book, and then the OpenGL Super Bible book. I would not start out by reading the OpenGL Super Bible book, when you're learning OpenGL, because OpenGL is basically a medium. It's basically an API that will help you send data from the CPU to the GPU, right? It's just an API. For you to understand which API functions or methods to call, you need to have a good idea, a good understanding on computer graphics, right? If you do not know what a shader is, you're gonna have a problem with doing OpenGL. If you do not know, the rendering pipeline, you're gonna using the OpenGL API is gonna be useless if you do not understand that pipeline, right? What happens during the pipeline? There's a lot to understand. So that is why I recommend people to start with the graphics shaders book, because it will touch on the theory of computer graphics. You don't have to read the whole book, probably the first 5 chapters or so, but it will give you a really good idea of how everything works. After that, if you want to develop a physics engine, then I definitely recommend you to get these books right here. And if you want to develop the collision detection system, definitely the real-time collision detection book. That is a book that I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have been able to develop a collision system without that book. It would be just impossible, for anyone to develop it. I mean, that's just my opinion, and from my experience, right? That book really helped me quite a lot to do that. So, and the game engine is still building. I knew that was gonna happen. So, um, yeah, guys. So again, if you want to also, if you are liking this live stream, please, I would really appreciate if you click the like button, and also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I tend to upload videos on game engine development, also on how to make a soccer game with your own game engine. Why am I making a soccer game, you may ask? Well, basically, because one of the tasks that you have to do with your game engine is to test it, right? And as your game engine progresses in complexity, you can no longer test the engine with simple games. You need to grow that game in complexity as well, right? Because your game engine will require you to test more complex games so that you know that everything is working fine. Now, a soccer game, when it comes to AI, state machines and stuff like that, it's a very complex game. It is not easy to build, right? It takes a lot of experience to build one. And more importantly, I also wanted to develop a game that would motivate me motivate me into wanting to develop it. I'm really bad at developing games. I do not know how to make them entertaining. And the only type of game mechanics that I understand and that I know quite well is a soccer game, right? You can tell if you watch my videos, you can tell that I tend to wear soccer jerseys, because of that, because I really love soccer and I understand it. So I figured, you know what? Why not develop a soccer game to test my game engine? But I also have noticed that one of my most popular videos that I have uploaded is how to make a soccer game with a game engine. I never expected that to be a very popular video, but as of right now, I have over 3,000 views. Again, I did not expect that to happen. So, that's the thing with YouTube. Something that I realized, and with blogging, sometimes the article or the video that you least expect is gonna do well, does well, and the video that you think is gonna do well, it doesn't. Go figure. All right, let's see if this works. I really hope it does, actually. All right, so let's load up some models here, and let's call this one player 1. Let's load it. Let's load a field, and let's call the field 0. And let's load an opposite player here. All right. Let's call it Argentina player. Boom, load it up. All right, so we have these players right here, and they should show up here. All right. Okay, so now we're going to save them. All right. And we are gonna save the game. I download the document. Boom. That according to my game engine, that scene data was saved. It is shown here, right? So now I'm going to reset this and I'm going to try to load all of that data back. And hopefully they show up. And if they show up, then we are good. Right? Load, send the file, and bingo. It works. There you go. So even the model field was loaded, player 0 was loaded. But you know something that I noticed that I'm noticing is that oh look, they do show up with this. Okay, perfect. Yep, even the name, the proper name is showing up. All right, so that's cool. Okay, so let's see if I load up another model here. Let's load up the bleacher. Boom. Oh my gosh, I messed it up. Remove the entity. Okay. This is something else that I need to do. I need to I need to make sure that this gets cleared. Boom. All right, so let me save this. Okay, that is saved. Let me reset this. Aha, there's a problem. I'm assuming that the problem happened when I tried it. I'm assuming that the problem happened when I tried to load up another model with the same name that already previously existed. I'm pretty sure that's the problem. And actually, let me. All right, so let me do this. Player 0, player 1, load up the assets, field. Okay, so I'm gonna change it here. All right, and then we do bleacher here. Load it, boom, and let me do one opposite player. Player 2, all right, load it. All right, so we have all this right here, right? Now I'm gonna save it. Hey Anthony, what's up, man? How are you? Oh, nice, dude. Have you published it yet? Have you published your name yet? Your name. Your game yet? All right, so that data was saved according to this. Reset this. Now let me load this up, and oh, there you go. That works. So Anthony, you created your first game, and right now it's a Pong, but nonetheless, hey, doesn't matter, man. The whole point is that you actually start developing your own game. That's what counts, right? I'm pretty sure that you learn a lot by developing a game like Pong, right? I'm positive of that because even with simple games, the whole idea of creating game mechanics, people may think that the game mechanics it will be very simple to implement, but they don't realize all of the complexity that goes into it, right? And all of the bugs that you probably faced and that you had to fix. And in my opinion, I honestly believe that bugs are the best teachers, and that's how you actually learn. That's how I actually have learned a lot about programming. It's not through books or lectures. It's by actually trying to understand why a bug in my code, is why the bug is is occurring, right? Understanding the whole like the why, it has been very 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 helpful to me. But congrats, Anthony. Really proud of you, dude. So you learn about the game loop and the basic collision detection. Couldn't believe it was 600 lines of code. Oh wow, man, that is a lot, dude. But that's good, man. In which language did you ended up using? Did you use C, C++? I remember that when I was in high school, I started learning C++ before C, and that was not such a great idea. My teacher, she was a really good teacher, but I think that C++ was way beyond me at that time, right? So I obviously didn't do that good. C++, that's cool. That's cool, man. Now that I have used C++ for a long time, I really love that language. And now I feel very comfortable with C++, to be honest with you. I know that some people say that, C++ is a very, scary language, and it is. I'm going to say that it's not. It is a very scary language. But once you get a handle of it, it's a really nice language to work with. What's up, Zach? How are you, dude? How's it going? Hey guys, by the way, did you guys let me show you something. Let's see if we have actually reached 500 members in my Discord server. And if you're not a member, please, and you're watching this live stream and you want to be member number 500, go to my Discord server, which is in the description, where the link is in the description below, so you can become a member. So we have 499 members as of now. We just need one more, guys, to make it 500. Been waiting the whole day for this, actually, guys. I've been looking at the stats for the whole day, and we went from 498 to 499, so we're just waiting for that one more member so that we can hit 500 members in the Discord server. So I actually cannot believe we have 500. We are about to hit 500 members, guys. That's actually impressive. When I started this Discord server, I actually thought not many people were gonna show up, basically because I didn't have a huge following, and I still don't. But again, I did not imagine we were gonna have this many members. Any tips on making a Minecraft game? Oh boy. No, Anthony, I do not have any tips on how to do one, mainly because I have never ever even put any thought into making one, so I would not know what to look for or what to watch out for when you're developing a game like that. But that could be a really fun game to develop. That would be an open world game for sure. Um, what's the genre of Minecraft? Is it like a sandbox type of game, right? Well, I know what it is. I'm just looking for the type of game that Minecraft falls under, right? We have FPS, sports game, um, but Minecraft, I believe, is under the sandbox type of games. Actually, let me look it up. Minecraft game genre. Sandbox, there you go. So I don't know. I guess a tip that I would give you would be like so probably have to make my own 3D rendering engine. Um, I think what you will need to focus on a lot is working with the shaders. You don't have to develop your own 3D game engine, your own rendering engine, but you will have to put a lot of thought into your shaders, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, what I would recommend you to do, Anthony, is to ask in my Discord server how will you go about developing that type of game. I'm pretty sure someone in my Discord server has a really good idea of how to start and what you need to and what you need to do to develop it. Again, I really have no experience with it. I really have to think about how will you start developing that type of game. So someone did Minecraft within 48 hours. Man, wow. Let's see, Zach. I would like to ask, what is your next goal for the engine once you finish building and finishing the editor? Okay, so what's my next goal? Honestly, I was actually implementing a scripting language into the game engine before I started with the editor. But I realized that my game engine is not ready for the scripting language yet. So I need to think whether I go ahead and improve some parts of my game engine so that I can incorporate the scripting language. But aside from the editor, what do I have planned? I haven't. I'm not. What I was thinking of doing is actually go ahead and improve the soccer game that I've been working on, and see if the game engine can handle it. But to be honest with you, right now I'm focused on the editor, and making it more user friendly for users, for game developers. So I'm pretty sure I'll come up with something really soon. But what I can tell you is that my goal is to improve the game engine constantly. So you'll see me, working on the game engine, next week, next month, next year, hopefully 5 years from now, and hopefully 10 years from now, right? Yep. All right, guys. So let's see. Still 599 guys. Hopefully by tomorrow we have 500 members. All right. So I guess that's what we wanted to do today. Our goal that we had for today, we were able to reach that goal and allow the user to specify the name of a model, right? So now what's going to happen is that when you load up your scene from Blender, right, you will no longer have to load up all of the scene that you had specified in Blender. Instead, all what you have to import from Blender or export would be the models that you are interested in. So let me explain the whole problem in case you missed this part of the video when I started. So right now in Blender, what I do is that I have a script that interacts with the game engine and Blender, right? The script, what it does is that it goes through all of the objects or the models in the scene, in this particular scene, and will store all of that data. Geometry data with the vertices, normal vertices, texture data, etc. Right, for each of these models, right? Then what happens is that when you load up the engine will read all of that data, and all of that data will be shown here in the asset, right? Now you can tell right away that by me exporting every single entity in the scene into a file, it's not a good idea because I'm consuming way too much memory, right? The file that I'm exporting is going to be quite big. So my idea was this, right? What if I simply export one model, right? For example, instead of exporting all of these different models that you see here, right? So let me delete them. I only export this model right here. This would be a different player, so I export that one. Instead of exporting these two goals, I only export one, right? Instead of exporting, all of these bleachers, I only export two of them, right? So now obviously you can see that I'm saving a lot of memory, right? So if I export this and when I run the engine, they will show up here, right? So now let's say that, I export one of the players, which would be player, player one, for example. I load up the asset, right? So now I have that one, right? Now I want to load up another player, again from Argentina, right? I load the second player will be here, boom, right? I can load up a third player now. Now the whole idea, if you can see now, is that I have saved a lot of memory because I don't have to export, all the 5 players that you saw in the scene initially, right? Or I only export one player, like one instance of that player, and then in the game engine, I will be able to use the editor as my scene. How would you call that? My scene organizer, my scene manager. I don't know. And I have all of the data here, right? So again, I will be saving a lot of memory. So that's my whole idea of why I wanted to do this. So now again, right? If you save this, right? So you save this because you want to stop working on it, right? And then you go take a break, and then you come back, and then you load up the entity. Everything will show up here. So that's my whole idea why I wanted to allow this feature, right? Where you can actually just, only have one player. Well, allow you to name the players and only have, one instance of the object that you want. So now that seems to be working. There are other issues that I've noticed that I have to fix, but it's already 11:30 here. So I think I'm gonna just end the live stream. Thank you, Anthony, for joining the live stream. I'm happy for you that you were able to do your first game. That's really cool. So keep it up, dude. And Zach, thank you for joining the live stream as well. And if you guys haven't, subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you like this live stream, I would really appreciate if you click the like button. It will really help my channel grow. So thank you guys so much for joining. I'll see you on Friday, guys. So we can work on fixing some other issues for the game engine. Thank you, guys.